So we've got a standing start today. Coming into the front of the mat. We only need one prop, one block for today. So have that just out to the side of the mat, towards the front, and then it's in the right place for us. We're just going to spend a couple of minutes practicing our breathing, like you do. So rather than just sort of settling straight into mountain pose, if you want to wriggle around a little bit, you can do. Wriggle the fingers out, wriggle the toes, give the legs a little bit of a shake, shoulders. Maybe see how your neck feels as well. If this is a morning class, it's going to feel a little bit different to if it's an evening class in your body. You will need enough room in front to do warrior 3, or you'll need to move down the mat when we come to that bit, whichever way it works. And some longer breaths in, which might be a bit more of a challenge than you're expecting. Maybe a little bit of bouncing as well. And then we'll just work on our balance a little bit. So we're going to bring the feet about hip distance apart, parallel, aligned. And we'll take the hands up above the shoulders if we can, without flexing the chest up or the hips forwards. And just exhaling down. As you inhale up, you're going to try and keep those shoulders relatively low. And you need to draw your rib cage back a little bit and your hips. So you want to take the weight a little bit more into the heels. As you bring your hands up and forwards, there is a tendency for it to move into the toes. You get a little bit of a sway going on. So trying to counteract that. And then we're going to take the next one up on the tippy toes. And try and stay on the toes. And still observe keeping the ribs in. Everybody works at their own rate. Your breathing might be different to mine, so your hand movements are going to come different. But you'll notice that there's no pause at the top or the bottom, other than perhaps balance. And bringing everything back down gently. Nice little shake out. We'll rub the shoulders around a few times. And then we're going to take the hands behind. We want to place them so thumbs out, fingers down on the top of the pelvis. So fingers are going down towards your tailbone. And squeeze the elbows together. Just going to pop out a little bit. And then we're going to accentuate that a little bit more. As we inhale, we're going to lift the chest. So it's standing camel pose, basically. And we're careful not to drop the head completely. Keep those shoulder blades squeezed together, and then we'll just release. So we'll keep the hands where they are, but we'll soften on out on the shoulders a little bit, and then we'll squeeze the elbows together on the exhale. Inhale the chest up. Let your heart and your eyes sort of move to the same direction. And obviously your hips are going to move forwards a little bit more in this. Release on your exhale. Take a breath in. Exhale, squeeze those shoulder blades together. Inhale up. Exhale. Breath in and release. And then we'll just take out the wrists a little bit, can be sort of quite strong for those. I'm going to take that into some side bends, so easing the hands up towards the sky. Index finger points up. And we're going to take it out to the left, so pressing down through the right leg. We're going to take 3 of these to each side, so it'll come up slowly. On the breath, use the exhales to go down. Try and keep the arms nice and long rather than bending into the elbows. So it's slightly different to the first shoulder movement where we try to keep the shoulders loose. This is really stretching the shoulders up around your ears. Coming to the final side. Bringing myself back up. Hands into the heart. Take a moment for those shoulders to relax. And then when you're ready on your next exhale, soften the knees and hinge forwards and down to the floor. Into our standing forward bends. Hamstrings a little bit tight this morning, mine are. Hands onto the shins, lifting up. And let the backs of the legs straighten out a little bit. So tailbone back. We'll exhale down. Hands onto the shins, lifting up. Exhale back down. Onto the shins again. Exhaling down. We'll take it to the hands on the hips, lifting all the way back up to Tadasana. We'll swing the arms wide on the inhale. Or Hatha. Exhale down. On the floor. Hands to the hips again. That's going to be one of those days when I can't remember the body parts. It just makes it always much more difficult to follow. I apologize. And through the heart. So we'll go down to the floor again. Now this time we go down and we're stepping back into down dog. Just for a moment, really we're moving into cat-cow. So we're going to bring the knees down underneath in a tabletop position. Draw the chest forwards, throw the shoulders back, tilt the pelvis, and let cells round the spine out. Come from cat-cows back into down dog. We're going to hold this for about 10 breaths. So we want to make sure that the fingers are slightly pointed out. Take time to roll the armpits in towards the body. Press the hips high and back. We're going to keep the legs straight so we're not pedaling this morning. We're trying to press the heels a little towards the back of the mat. We're seeing if holding here time-wise being extended allows us to move a little deeper into the pose. And we'll come forwards again into the plank, and we'll take child's pose with the knees wide, toes together, sitting back onto the heels first of all, just to make sure ankles and knees arrive softly, and then taking the hands out in front. So forehead to ground, if that feels comfortable to do so. Again, trying to keep the elbows off of the floor, but softish shoulders. towards the front of the mat and take it into a side bend over to the right. And once we arrive, we'll walk that left hand another inch forwards so we get a bigger stretch down that side of the body. And let the head lift, walk the fingers gently round to the opposite side. And just taking time to walk that right hand that last inch out. Again, coming into the front of the mat. We're going to move into down dog and some scissors, but I know I'm going to start to get warm, so I'll take an extra layer off at this point. Fingers up to the front of the mat, lifting into our down dog. So we're going to draw the left knee in towards the chest, keeping in the down dog shape, and then extend the leg up to the sky as high as we can so we can feel that in the butt a little bit, making sure we don't collapse into the elbows. We'll draw the knee back in. Slowly extend it out on the exhale. Coming back in. Extend it out. Maybe 5 of these all together. Coming back in. Extend it out. Back in. And the last one. And the foot comes down gently to the floor. Opposite leg comes in. It goes up to the sky as high as you can. Trying to straighten the leg out. Coming in. We're actually trying to keep the hips square as we can. There's a little bit of tendency to roll, which is what introduces that sort of looseness into the elbows. Number 3, kicking out. Number 4. And number 5. We'll bring that foot to the floor. Again, we'll move into a plank just for a moment to bring the knees down underneath. We're going to take a side plank, a baby version. So we're going to move the left hand a little more in line with the left knee. Take the right foot back, pivot on the left knee so the foot goes out 90 degrees. We'll let ourselves come into that baby side plank. But as we arrive, we're going to take a little breath and lift up onto the fingertips. Now see if you can press down into this long leg, that's foot flat to the floor, and take as much weight as you can out of your fingertips. So your body is doing the lifting. It's easier on the shoulders and the fingertips, but it means these abs and obliques are going to work a lot harder holding you up. So it doesn't have to look super incredibly strong, but you can make it as powerful as you want by that lift. Last breath in, and we'll come back down to the floor, and we're going to take it to the opposite side. So again, just allow yourself to adjust. Right hand in a little bit. Left leg goes back. Foot comes out to the side. You can see it a little easier on this one. And then when you're ready on an exhale, lift up onto the fingertips. Bring the hands back down. knees to the floor. Now we're going to take the first side again. So left hand comes in, right leg back and swivel through. Now this version is called a connected side plank. So we need to lift the long leg to about the height of your hip. You're going to bend your knee, take the foot back, catching radiators and TVs and all sorts of things, and see if you can find your foot. Taking hold of that, so the body's quite arched at this stage. You're trying to keep the knee the height of your hip, shoulders drawn back. And if you've managed to get your foot, then you can actually press the shin away a little bit to give yourself a bit more resistance. I'm now going to lengthen that leg back out and bring everything back down. And then we'll cross over to the opposite side. So remember, the right hand moves in, left leg goes back, it goes out to the side. Make sure the hand is underneath the shoulder. Yourself to catch your balance first. When you're ready, slowly lift your leg with control. Get that outer hip to feel like it's working. Now, as you bend your leg back, you want to try and bring the heel towards you. Drop your hand back, see if you can find your foot, and then press out gently. It's quite a big stretch. It's almost like you're doing bow pose, one-legged. Just obviously turning the orientation around from being on the floor to the side. And adding a degree of difficulty to it that you didn't perhaps need. But it does feel like a nice stretch. I'll take a last breath. Slowly lengthen everything back out. And bring it back down to the floor. Whew. Back onto all fours. I take a little breath there and tuck the toes of the right leg underneath. We're going to slide that out 90 degrees, foot flat to the floor. We're coming into gate pose. So we're going to just move our hands towards us, lifting up. And bring your right hand on the top of the right pelvis, so it's not resting on your thigh. The left arm goes up. We take a breath. Allow yourself to slowly reach over towards the right. And as you do so, see if you could turn your chest a little towards the left side of the mat and look towards the elbow joint of that left arm that's raised. So again, we're just opening the side. It's very much bringing that connected side plank on this pose together. We're pressing into the outstretched foot, so we're working the inner groins a little bit, getting the thighs to lift, sharing the load through the body. We'll come back down. Keep the leg back on the floor. We'll take the opposite leg out. Walk the fingers in. Hand on the top of the pelvis. The right arm comes up. Turn the chest a little over towards the right, and then extend out and over. Bring everything back down. And allow ourselves to slide the leg back. We're coming into down dog again. We're not going to hold it quite so long this time. Put the toes underneath and let ourselves lift up. Just taking a little time to make sure the feet are hip distance apart, nicely aligned. And then we'll walk in the hands in towards the toes. Forward bends. And hands over the hips to lift up slowly from the ground. I'm going to soften the arms out in front and ease the knees over the toes. And I'm going to take the right hand back. Watching the fingertips to keep the knees and hips pointing forward. It's a Rishi sequence, and that arm goes up and over. Coming down, squatting, hands drag along the floor, head drops, and the arms swoop behind. We'll come forwards again, sitting low, driving out from the squat. And then softening the knees. Hands out in front, left arm goes back. Let your eyes follow. Over the top. And down we go. And through. Right out of the squat. Soften the knees. Right arm back again. Over the top we go. Down to the ground. And dragging out through the legs as evenly as you can. Final side. Soft knees, left arm back, open over. Down we go. Drive up. Let the arms come down. And we'll shake it out as we walk into the front of the mat. A little sip of water. We're going to bring the hands in towards the heart. Take a nice breath in. Set the feet accordingly to hip distance apart. And we'll soften the knees and hinge down to the floor. We're going to take a little breath and step back into down dog. From down dog, we'll come forward into plank. We'll take our first half plank, change the bootlaces down, up dog, and roll it over into our down dog. We'll draw the left knee in and bring the foot through between the hands, and then sweep the arms alongside the body, lift the chest a little. We'll come up into a high presence. Use the hands down to the floor, and we'll step carefully into the front of the mat. Bring the hands under the hips and lift back up, standing. Hands to the heart, breath in. Exhale down. And stepping back into our down dogs. Coming into our planks, half planks. Try not to go too low. Up dogs, when you're ready, strong legs. Down dog. Right leg comes in. Foot between the hands. So knees over ankles. Catch your balance, hands alongside. Flow those arms forwards and up into crescent. And back down to the floor. Let's step into that forward bend. Hands onto the hips. And we'll lift up. We'll do that again. Each side, hands to the heart. Exhaling down. Stepping back into dog. Inhale to the plank. Half plank. Up dogs. Down dogs. Left knee in. Foot through. Hands alongside the body. Inhale up. High crescent. Down to the floor. Just stepping forwards on your exhale. Hands to the heart. And lift up. To the heart again. To the floor. To your down dog. To your plank. To half plank. To up dog. To down dog. Left leg in. Alongside. We'll lift up. Coming back. And stepping forwards. Might have got the wrong foot, but we've done enough of those. We'll move on to the next thing. Get up again. We'll sweep the arms up high on this one. Bring the hands into the heart. Excuse me. Been waiting to come for a while. Exhaling down. And we'll take the left leg back. Drop the heel in. We're going to cartwheel to warrior two. And then take the hands high. Out to the front of the mat. We're going to drop back into a down dog. Breath in. Come into plank. Half plank to up dog. Rolling it back. Dog. We'll sit with the left leg. Bring the knees through. Step into the front of the mat. Into the hips. Lifting up. Lifting the arms wide. Into the heart. Exhaling down. Right leg back. Heel drops in. Cartwheel up. Warrior two. Take the hands high. Out to the front of the mat we go. Stepping back into our dog. Into our planks. Half planks to up dogs. Keeping strong in the legs. The hips lift up. And again, we'll scissor the right leg this time. Knee to chest and through. And stepping into that forward bend. Hands on the hips. Lifting them. Hands to the heart as we inhale. Exhaling down. Bending the left leg back into lunge. Dropping the heel in. Lifting into our warrior two. We'll take the hands high. Out to the front of the mat. Going to lift the back heel. And take a twist to the right. That right hand comes up. Comes back down. We'll take it to the left. Inhaling up. Coming down. We'll step back into down dog. Come forwards into the plank. Half plank. To up dog. And back into down dog. Again, we're going to scissor the left leg high. Knee to chest and foot through. Take a breath. Step it forwards. Into the hips and lift up. Hands high if you wish. And through the heart. Exhaling down. Right leg goes back into the lunge. We'll drop the heels in and cartwheel to our warrior two. Swoop the arms high. Out to the front of the mat. Lift the back heel again, so we're into the lunge. So the left hand twist coming up. Coming back. Right hand back. Down dog. Taking it into plank. Half planks. Up dogs. Rolling it back into those down dogs. A scissor of the right leg. Knee to chest and foot through. And then stepping into that forward bend. Hands to the hips and we lift up. We'll swoop high with the hands. Bring them in towards the heart. Get the hands by the side of the body. So a moment in mountain pose. Catch our breath. Me's going to be mostly coughing, sorry. Well, as they say, better out than in. Okay, we can start again. So we'll just cross the arms in front. Inhale the arms up to the sky on the breath in, looking to the fingers, hands into the heart, exhaling down. We're stepping back into a down dog. And we're going to scissor the left leg half. Come into a three-legged plank. We'll take three-legged plank to three-legged half plank. Lower the leg gently. Tuck both feet for up dog, lifting on the rise of your breath. And back into down dog. And we'll scissor the right leg half. And come into the plank. Into the half plank. Ease the leg down. Untuck, ready for your up dog. Gently back into your down dog. We'll take the left leg high again. Maybe you can always lower the knees if you need to. Oops. Then we'll come into a plank, three-legged half. Leg comes down. Arrange the legs, up dog, to your down dog. We'll take the right leg high. Go forwards into the three-legged planks and half planks. Lower the leg. There's a little pause in half plank with the leg raised. Coming back. And we'll take the left leg final time. Coming through. Half plank. Use the leg down. Up dog. Back into your down dog. Opposite leg lift. Should be the right. Coming through. Half. Come down with the legs. Up dog. Down dog. Whew. Take a little breath. Knees to the floor. Sit onto the heels. And we'll roll those shoulders around a little bit because we've done quite a bit of work along with the arms. So it's strong on the pecs this morning and the shoulder joints. And we'll take those shoulder shrugs the opposite way around as well. Now, the reason we've got our block out towards the front of the mat is because that's where we need it. We'll come up onto all fours, down dog, and walk the feet into the front of the mat. Tiny little steps. Straight legs, getting tighter, and a stronger lift. See where we can get to. Up onto the fingertips when you need it. And then when you come into the front of the mat, we're going to take the flat block. So I've got it on the thin edge landscape. And for me, it's about 12 inches out in front of the mat. I'm about 6 inches from the mat itself. So 18 inches from my toes. But basically, I want the block to be underneath my shoulders rather than the head. So you want to play around with that a little bit. And be conscious of where your hips are in space. So roll back or you've gone too far forwards. You want to have the weight feeling even in your feet so you know that to the best of your ability, your legs are 90 degrees to the ground, not moving out at that strange degree or 3 or 4 backwards or forwards. So once we've done that, we'll take the hands off of the block and back to the floor in line with our toes. Folding it a bit deeper. Easier said than done. I'll have another go at that. I'll fold down to the floor. Now I can breathe. And I'm going to take my left leg to the back of the mat into a lunge. I'm simply going to bring the hands alongside the body, lift the chest, and move up into a high present. To move from there, I'm going to take the hands forwards onto the block. I'm going to lean into the front leg and push off the back toes together to lift the back leg from the floor into warrior 3, trying to keep the hips square. The flex foot pressing out through the hip. And then if you can, lift up onto your fingertips on that block. Now, if you don't feel like coming onto the fingertips, that's fine. You can keep your hands there. I want to try and relax the shoulders away from the ears. Stretch the crown of the head forwards. Press out the heel. Imagine there's another wall behind you and you're pressing that foot and trying to push yourself away from it. I'm going to soften the front knee into the lunge and bring the fingers back to the floor. Step into a forward bend. Hands to the hips and let ourselves lift up. Bring the arms across in front and inhale high. Hands into the heart. And exhale down. We'll take the right leg back. We're going to lift into a high crescent here. So just hands alongside the body, a little bit of a test of balance. Then take the hands forwards and up, keeping that front knee over your ankle. Take the breath. Lengthen out, hands onto the block. Allow yourself to lean, as I said, into the front knee as you push off. So the legs kind of work in combination with each other. And then if you want to, see if you can come onto fingertips. Two strong legs pressing out. Now, obviously, you can't see your rear leg. So you're trying to lift that as high as your hip. But you do need to keep the belly drawn in so you don't sag into your waist. You want to be strong and long through that top line of your body. Now we'll soften the front knee. Back into the lunge with fingertips to the floor. Whew. And we'll step ourselves back into down dog. Just a little wiggle out through the hips until they feel like they've come back to normal a little bit. Takes a couple of seconds. And then knees down to the floor. Take a little breath. And we're just going to move the block down so it's flat on the floor. I'm going to come to the ground, but I'm going to be head to the front end, lying on my back. Knees high. Come into the ground. Make you feel your head is going to be on the mat. Feet together, close in. And I'm going to just simply draw the left knee in towards the body. Use the toes to walk the right leg out. Going to slide the heel along the ground. Press out through the heel. Turn the thigh in a little bit. Then I'm going to use my arms to draw gently that left knee in towards my body. Let it just follow its own natural line. Let the hip open. So turning that thigh in, working on the long leg. Think more about that than the knee that's close to you. Last breath. Or release the held leg and slide that out along the ground. Nice and gently. So try to keep the heel in contact. And then likewise, we'll bring the right leg in, heel to contact as well for as long as possible. Hands around the shin. And then start to energize the left leg. So flex foot, thigh rolls in, press out. You want to have the heel and the calf on the floor. And we'll draw the knee in towards the body. And then we can release that leg as well. We'll drop our foot close to us because we're going to bring the left leg in. Bring both knees in and just take the hands simply on top of the knees. We'll draw the knees down the center line towards us. So we hunch into a little crunch of a ball. We'll take the knees out wide and let them travel forwards. The hands come back to the center line and we can exhale again. Knees down the center line. Knees go wide as a breath in. Trying to get the biggest even circles we can. Oh, dear me. And we're going to come in for the last time. Draw into your chest and then press back down the center line. You're taking the legs the opposite way around on the breath. Still doing circles, just feels a little bit different. Bring the legs in towards the body for the final time and then let the feet come to the floor. Now I want to get a nice long back. So wriggle out through the hips a little bit, wriggle out through the shoulders, the neck, and then take your hands directly above your chest, palms facing. We're going to alternate legs and arms. So first of all, we need to get the legs up, so we'll come into tiptoes. As we do that, then we want to press the lower back into the floor and draw the belly in. Lift one leg at a time so the knee comes over your hips, and then take the toes up towards the sky to straight legs. On the breath in, we're going to follow with an exhale, right arm and left leg go down, so the right arm's to the back of the mat. They don't quite touch. We bring them back up. We cross over to the opposite side. Just keep alternating, gently following your own breath. Now you want to try and lift and drop at the same speed. So you're really monitoring your breath. It's recommended. It feels like you're about to collapse. Pull the knees really quickly in towards your body rather than letting your legs just drop to the floor. And you'll get less pulled muscles in your lower backs doing that. And it allows you to think about the quality of the effort rather than going to absolute exhaustion and then sort of losing your confidence that you're not able to control your arms and your legs. So it works on many levels. It's safer, probably builds a little bit of strength and confidence in your body. We're almost there. In fact, we're finished, so we can ease the knees to a bend and bring the feet to the floor, and hands come back down to the ground, either side of the body. So we're going to take something that looks very similar, but it's going to be one leg at a time, and we're going to take the arms out of it. So we're going to bring the hands down by the side of the body. You want to sort of lift your body a little bit so you can roll the hands and your arms almost underneath you. You want to have straight arms, and palms facing down. And then when you're ready, we'll draw the lower back into the floor as we come onto tiptoes, knees together and above the hips, and then we'll extend the legs out. And then we're simply going to take one leg at a time to the floor. So we'll take a breath in, and on the exhale, we're going to let that left leg go. Bring it back up. And cross over to the opposite side. And you'd think that doing one leg would be easier than doing one leg and one arm. But to be quite honest, I find it easier on the first version. I don't know if that's just familiarity or whether this actually is stronger. Right, for the last time. Legs back up, and then draw the knees in towards the body. I'm going to wrap the arms on the shins into chest, so a tight little ball. Couple of breaths, and then roll onto your right side. So flip back over, up onto all fours. Just want to spin the feet out to the side, and then to the front of the mat. Just going to pick the block up, Place that underneath my derriere. Lengthen the legs out in front, sitting up nice and tall. Going to bring the left foot underneath, out towards the right hip for a simple seated twist. I'm going to bring the right leg across, make sure the sitting bones are on the floor, tilt the pelvis forwards, sweeping my left arm up and across to the right side. So as you exhale, you might notice that you can twist a little deeper. Inhale, think about lifting the chest up. Exhale into the twist. Now release. Take the legs out. Take it to the opposite side. Setting ourselves up. And that right arm comes up and over. Putting the legs out again. The front of the mat, little shake. We're coming to Janushasana, so I'm going to bring the right heel into the groin, shin down onto the floor. Turn the thigh in and up, a little bend in the knee. Hands onto the shins, get lots of space, relax the shoulders. Inch from the hips, I'm going to actually enjoy 5 breaths to come down. So I'm not trying to come down all in one go. I'm going to have a little pause as I breathe in. Lift up and forwards a little bit more. Work my way in gently. Now, once you arrive on your 5th breath, if you're able to, taking the hands lightly around the sole of your foot, and then drawing the foot towards you, keeping your head in line with the rest of your body. The shoulders are drawing back towards your tailbone, belly in. We can bring the hands to the floor and let us lift back up. We're crossing over to the opposite side. So again, just rolling the thigh in, flex the toes back, a decent bend in the knee, get space, and we'll take those 5 breaths to come down. And again, if it's easy, taking the hands around the sole of the foot. You can always use the ankle, or you can leave the hands where they were. Pressing a little into the bench again. Pressing that heel into the groin. Breath. And bring the hands to the floor to lift back up again. We're going to lengthen the legs out. I'm going to preemptively put my next layer on. So we are slowing down a little bit. And we're going to come into bridge pose, but we're going to use the block for support. It will be on the thin edge of that out to the side, so landscape, just in case you're wondering. And then taking the feet a nice wide stance, roll the spine gently down, make sure you've got plenty of room behind, because we're going to take the arms out as well. And we're going to have the feet a little wider than perhaps we would in traditional bridge pose. But I still want the toes pointing in a bit and the heels a little bit out. I'm going to let myself press down through the feet, through the shins to lift up. So I want to make sure the knees and heels are aligned on top of each other. And then slide that block on its edge underneath the pelvis. So I want to make sure that I'm not pressing into my spine, but also don't want to be pressing down into the tailbone. So it's the very top of the crest of the pelvis. I want to make sure, using my fingers, that the block is flat to the floor. It's quite a thin edge. It should be able to support your weight. I want you to be able to lift a little bit, but not as much as you would do in a regular bridge. So you're taking a little bit of weight out of your legs with this block. And then once we've done that, we're going to swoop the arms up, just drop them towards the back of the mat. And we'll be here for a good minute or so, maybe two. Just going to try and not let the legs swoop out to the side. That's why I was going to have the feet with quite a wide setting. I want to be able to push the knees slightly together. Just a little bit. Because generally, you sort of splay the legs out, and then that compresses into the sciatic area. We draw the knees in a little bit, we make a bit more space back there. We potentially eliminate that problem or that effect. And by being here for a minute or two, those legs will get tired. Don't worry. You will feel like you've done a bridge by the time we finish. You should start to feel the thighs, the hamstrings, and the buttocks working together. We're going to let ourselves come out of this. We're going to press down through the feet and lift the hips out a little bit more. Use the hands alongside the body, so up and over. And slide the brick out over, sorry, block over to the left side. And let yourself bring your spine down over about 5 or 6 long breaths. So those legs are definitely going to feel like they're working. It's going to allow you to feel each of your vertebrae moving towards the ground. It will feel surprisingly like someone's moved the floor away from you. But when you get to that point, you want to be even more diligent about letting yourself come down softly. hold on to those tummy muscles a little bit. Float down gently. Fully roll your tailbone out. That should be easier on the legs. So we're going to move to Shavasana. I'm going to move the block behind the head, but that's just so it makes it easy for me to look to the clock. Now, you can either keep the legs really wide apart, close to you, and the knees in towards the center line, so TP legs, or you can allow yourself to walk your feet out slowly to the corner edges of the mat. You just want to keep your feet in contact with the floor. Let the legs roll outwards. So it's your choice which style of Shavasana you take. Hands about the ruler's distance from the body. Palms up. A final little wriggle and jiggle. The eyes closed and soft lips. And then we're going to allow ourselves to be completely still. And to wriggle the fingers and toes. Breathing a little deeper. Allow the wrists and the ankles to move. So become a little more aware of our body on the mat. And then we'll take a long stretch, wherever feels good. And if you have it already, we'll slide the heels of the leg at a time towards us. To ease the knees in towards the body, taking the hands lightly around the shins. Rocking from side to side. We're going to see if we can time an exhalation to roll fully over to the right with the legs. Once they're down, we'll turn the chest over, put the hands under, and press lightly into the floor to lift ourselves back to sitting. Bring the hands towards your heart. So sit tall, we'll close the eyes, take a breath here. And we slowly exhale, letting the chin drop. Feeling the belly drawn to the spine, we bow to the floor, sealing our practice for the morning. On the inhale, letting the spine build, and head lift, eyes can open. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me. Apologies for all the coughing. Hopefully that will go soon. We're back to normal. I'll see you on the mat again soon.